Hi everyone, welcome to the Excitech BIM 360 surgery number 5. Today we're going to take a look at some new updates which have launched in the last 2 days. It was originally planned as a model coordination update preview, and then yesterday BIM 360 released some updates to BIM 360 docs. So I'm also going to incorporate them into this little surgery. So the model coordination updates. So let's jump straight in and take a look at what they have done. So if I click Project Home and then I go straight into model coordination. Now in this project I've already set up some Revit models already in the coordination zone. You'll see that it's currently loading the project, and I've got a series of different coordination zones already preset. So the first thing is a new update that sort of came straight away was we can now coordinate IFC files along with the Revit models and DWG files. So if you've got some IFC or VT and DWG, they can all be added in to the coordination spaces. So if you look at my document management, in the folders, we can now incorporate them 3 file types. So you can click into the different folders, upload your IFC files or Revit files, and then they can all be federated and then coordinated together. So that's a big update, that we can now change the file types and coordinate them against each other. The other change is sort of a functionality change in how it works and defines the clashes within the area. You can see I've got my matrix, and if we look at, let's say, this clash area, so the big change here is that how it highlights the clashes. So what they've done is they've coordinated between the model view and then the list view. You'll see straight away within the viewer mode, you'll see that everything is highlighted and it goes red and green, and that's because that initially all clashes are shown. So when we click here, you will see that I can highlight each of the clashed areas, and when I highlight it, you will see it automatically updates the grouping on the left, so I can sort of click either way. Previously I had to pick in the list and I had to go in and look for all the clashes individually through the list view, where I could click it will then highlight that particular clash. But what they've done is they've just made it easier, so you can do it either way. So I can actually select an area and straight away it highlights that clash here. But if we zoom in a little bit, you will also see that I can pick multiple components, and you'll see every time I change the selection set. So if I want to select this cable tray, you'll see that everything that is clashing with it is highlighting straight away within the model. So it just depends which way you want to do it, and then you get the same functionality where you can group either via the list or you can group via the viewer, and then you can create the issues as before. I can give this a name. So cable tray clash, I can then assign that to a particular user, give a due date, and sort of work as before. So you can now do it either way, whichever way you want. So you can basically highlight everything, which it will come in as a default, and then you can group the clashes basically by the model object, and you can see it's got the selection set. So as I keep clicking, I've got a select mode and deselect. I don't actually have to hold any control. I can just simply keep selecting the objects and it will deselect and reselect as and when I want. And then you can either review in the list or do it in the model. So it seems like a small update, but just functionality and user wise, I think it's really good. It just offers full flexibility in how we want to work within the clash zone. So that's pretty much it for the model coordination update. What we're now going to look at is the BIM 360 docs update. So what they've done is, if we go to our document management section, they have implemented reviews a couple of months ago, so where we can build in review process, so we can select a set of documentation and then issue that for review. So if I just run through that process, and then I'll show you what they've updated. So when you're in the document management environment, you can select a series of documents. So if I go to my work in progress area, select my architecture folder, or I can even go to the architecture under published, and you can see I've got a series of documents. So what you can currently do is you can select all the documents, you can select the dots, and then you can submit this for a review. So when I click it, you will see that it is linked to an approval workflow. Now in this project, we've already preset some basically standard approval processes where it goes to model approval, draw an issue, architectural MEP, and structural. When you select that, you can then link it to a review name, it links in the documents, and then you can send that off for review. So if we take a step back and look at the review processes that we can have. So if we go to project admin, we can actually show you where we've defined the review. So under document management, in the admin section, you will see we have a reviews tab. And if I click it, this is where we've actually defined the workflows. You can see it's the workflow name, the initiator, and then what the action is upon completion, when it was updated, and whether the status of that process is active or not. So when we click the create approval workflow, you will see that we can select a template. And up until now, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6-step approval processes. And what they do is, if we say let go to a 2-step process, it goes through an initial review, a final review, and then it's issued. And these allow you to select a single reviewer or a team to review that particular issue. But what they've now done in the latest update yesterday is they've now given us these group approvals. So if we go in, let's build a group approval. So we look at a 2-step process. You see it goes through the same initial review, but obviously now to a group of people, and then to a final review, and then we're issued. So if we click in, let's have a look at building a new review. So I can say model group review. You can give it a description if you wish. You will see that the steps are then outlined again. We then have the initiator. So if I give this, so test review process, you'll see the initiator. I can now select my drop down, and I'm going to say that I am the initiator at my Excitech. You can again link it to a particular role, or also link it to a company, but I'm just going to say it's just my individual self. And then we now go in to, you'll see that under the review type, we now have multiple or single. So if we select multiple, we can then build in the multiple review people. So I'm going to select my Gmail address. I'm going to pick some other people in this project. They'll probably get some emails out of the blue. And I'm going to say myself and Carl are the review processors for this multiple review stage. Because it's now a multiple review, we can actually pick an option whether both members in this review team need to review it, or whether we can actually change it. So instead of having both myself and Carl review it, we can say, actually, I just need 1 or 2 or 3 of these people. So if I was to say I'll also include Steve Rudge in the review process, and we could say that the minimum number actually needs to be 2. So either 2 people out of this team, as long as they review it, then it will pass through that process. But I'm going to change this to 1. So I'm just going to review it. So we've got 1 out of the 3 people can review it. And then the final stage approver, I'm going to say it again, is back to myself. And I'm going to allow 1 calendar day. So we've now got a lot of flexibility in building this out to the review team. We then have the same old approval statuses as we have before. So you can go approved, rejected, and you can go and build your own status in if you wish. You can change the symbols or you can bin some of them off. And then you have, if it's completed, then we can move the documentation to a particular document if you wish. So I'm going to go and probably not do that. There's no need for this instance. And then I can put in a custom note. So model group review is initiated by me, goes to these 3 reviewers, and then I need 1 person out of the 3 to then review and approve the documents. So if I click save, so that now has created the workflow. To initiate the workflow, if I go back into my document management, and then select my architecture tab, and then let's say create an approval process and review. So I'm going to select both my elevation drawings, select my 3 dots, submit it now for review. And this is where I can now pick my new process, which is my group review. Please review. And then once I click submit, that has then gone. You will see that it now creates a new review. It automatically brings in the reviewers. I can, if I want at this stage, add more people in if I wish. And then I can add a message. Please review ASAP, and then click send. And that will then, if I click into the review tab, that will have sent off the email notifications to each of the team. So under model group review, you'll see the status is now open. You'll see both drawings are there, and I'm actually going to view the review on my phone. You can see that because I initiated, I can also start the review. And just if I refresh this page, I'm now going to submit the review. You'll now see that the review has now ended. So if I refresh the page, you will see that it is approved and it's all done. So I went through the initial process from me, went to my Gmail address, and if I just show you my Gmail, you will see that it's now went for final review. If I go back, this is the initial review process, so I get the email saying that it's total documents to review. And now if I click view the review, I can now go in and finish that process. So it's the final review, which is by myself, start review. And then I can just say that both documents are now approved. And then I can just submit. and everything is done. The approval status is set, and we went through that. Easy peasy, and there we go. So a really nice feature now, which opens it out to having a lot stronger workflows between group people. And the great thing, I think, is that you can have the number set for how many people you need to review that document before it passes to the next stage. So it's basically in your project admin, and then under the review process, we create a workflow. You will see we now have got a 2-step, 3-step, and a 4-step for group approval. So you can see it goes through initial review, then another one, and then review 3. And then we click it in to final review. You will see in here that you can actually do multiple reviews in each step. So the first step can be in multiple. You will see that as you change them, it then changes the graphic. It's quite nice the way that all that works. And then we can allow the number and the type, and then we can create our processes and build them in. That's pretty much it for this surgery. Join me next week where we're doing something a little bit different. I'm going to go through the workflow between the Revit environment and into a product called Power BI. But at the hub of it all, we're going to utilize BIM 360 to host all the data, and then we're going to show the integration of the Power BI partner cards, visualizing the live model data all hosted within 360. So it's next Thursday. The live event is already created on our YouTube page. Make sure to go in, like, and subscribe, and then you will get a notification to ensure that you don't miss that event. So once again, thank you very much, and I will see you all next week in surgery number 6.